You wake up every day as the same person, following the same routines, repeating the same thoughts, reinforcing the same weaknesses. And then you wonder, why does nothing change? Why do you feel stuck? Because you refuse to let go of who you were yesterday. If you want to change your life, you must first destroy the parts of yourself that hold you back. That means looking at yourself honestly and acknowledging the ugly truth. You are not yet who you could be. The person you are today is a product of outdated habits, flawed thinking, and learned helplessness. But you don't have to stay this way. Destroying the old you is painful. It requires an act of violence against your own comfort. You must rip apart the parts of your identity that are keeping you small. Maybe it's your laziness. Maybe it's your fear of failure. Maybe it's the excuses you tell yourself every time you're faced with difficulty. Whatever it is, it has to go. And once you strip away the weakness, what remains? Potential. The raw foundation upon which you can build something greater. But rebuilding yourself is not a passive act. It is not wishful thinking. It is a battle that you fight every single day. You must become someone who does hard things on purpose. You must wake up and impose structure on your life. Develop discipline like it is a muscle. Train your body, train your mind, read books, push yourself into discomfort. Do what is necessary, not what is easy. And understand this, you will fail. You will revert to old habits. You will fall short of your ideal self, but destruction is never clean. It is chaotic, and so is growth. The difference between those who remain the same and those who evolve is that the latter refuse to stop. They rise again, stronger and more determined than before. The old you is dead weight. Burn it down. Walk away from it, and in its place, build something worthy of the life you truly desire. The tyranny of comfort is one of the most insidious forces keeping you from reaching your full potential. It is deceptive because it feels good. It offers you relief from struggle, from fear, from the unknown. It seduces you into believing that as long as you are safe, as long as you are avoiding pain, you are doing just fine. But that's a lie. Comfort is a trap. It lulls you into complacency, into stagnation, into mediocrity. It whispers to you that you don't need to push yourself today, that you can start tomorrow, that it's okay to remain the same. And before you know it, weeks, months, years have passed, and you are still standing in the same place, wondering why your life hasn't changed. The problem with comfort is that it eliminates the very struggle that is necessary for growth. Think about a muscle. If you never put it under stress, it weakens. If you never challenge it with resistance, it atrophies. Your mind, your discipline, your potential work the same way. If you never step outside of your comfort zone, you will never develop the strength, resilience, and intelligence required to become something more than what you are today. You will remain small, fragile, dependent on external conditions to keep you safe, rather than forging yourself into someone capable of thriving in any situation. Most people seek comfort because they fear suffering, but suffering is inevitable. There is no life free from pain. The only choice you have is which suffering you will endure, the suffering of discipline or the suffering of regret, the suffering of pushing yourself to become better, or the suffering of looking back at a life wasted in avoidance. One is temporary, the other lasts forever. If you choose comfort now, you are only deferring pain to a later date. And when it arrives, it will be much worse because it will be accompanied by the realization that you could have done more. To break free from the tyranny of comfort, you must actively seek out discomfort. You must train yourself to embrace challenge, to lean into struggle, to welcome pain as a sign of growth rather than something to avoid. Every time you choose the difficult path, you are rewiring your brain to become stronger. Every time you resist the urge to take the easy way out, you are killing the part of you that wants to remain weak. This is not a one-time decision, it is a daily battle. You must create a life that demands more from you. Stop surrounding yourself with ease. Stop indulging in distractions that keep you passive. Make commitments that force you to show up. Set goals that intimidate you. Put yourself in situations where failure is possible, because that is where learning happens. This is how you destroy the version of yourself that is ruled by comfort and rebuild yourself into someone who is capable of enduring, of achieving, of leading. A moment you stop craving comfort is the moment you become dangerous. Because now, nothing can break you. You no longer need things to be easy. You no longer run from hardship. You face it head on, knowing that this is what makes you unshakable. And when the rest of the world is asleep in their comfort, you will be awake, pushing forward, evolving, becoming something greater. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must take radical responsibility for your life. This means that everything, your successes, your failures, your habits, your thoughts, your circumstances, is a direct result of the choices you have made up until this point. It is easy to blame the world, to point fingers at your upbringing, at society, at bad luck. But none of that will change your reality. The moment you externalize your problems, you hand over control. You give your power away. You convince yourself that you are a victim, and victims do not change. They wait. They wait for something to save them, something that will never come. If you are stuck, if you are unhappy, if you are not living up to your potential, then the first and only step that matters is accepting that it is your responsibility to fix it. No one is coming to save you. No one owes you anything. The world does not care about your excuses. It does not care about how unfair your situation is. The only thing that matters is what you do next. Taking radical responsibility means no more blaming, no more complaining, no more waiting. It means looking in the mirror and saying, oh, this is on me. This level of accountability is painful because it forces you to confront the truth about yourself. It requires you to admit that your failures are not random, that they are the product of your own decisions. But it is also liberating because if you are responsible for your failures, then you are also responsible for your victories. If your choices have led you here, then new choices can lead you somewhere else. You are not powerless. You are in control. You always have been. To rebuild yourself, you must also break the chains of identity that you have accepted as truth. Many people are trapped, not by external forces, but by the false beliefs they hold about themselves. They say, I am just not a disciplined person, or I have always been lazy, or I am not smart enough, not strong enough, not capable enough. These are not facts. These are stories you have repeated so many times that they have become part of your identity, but they are lies. Who you are today is nothing more than a collection of past habits, experiences, and thoughts. It is not permanent. It is not unchangeable. You are not fixed in place. You are fluid, adaptable, capable of transformation. But that transformation can only begin when you let go of the labels that are keeping you small. If you believe you are weak, you will act weak. You will act weak. If you believe you are undisciplined, you will behave as if that is true. But the moment you start believing something new, the moment you reject the old identity, you open the door to a different future. The mind is powerful, but it is also obedient. It will follow whatever narrative you feed it. If you want to become someone stronger, someone more disciplined, someone unstoppable, then you must first tell yourself that you are that person. Not someday, not in the future, now. You must embody that identity before you see the results. You must take action as if it is already true. Because once you do, the transformation begins. Not in some distant future, but in this very moment. The power of incremental change is the foundation of real transformation. People often make the mistake of believing that change must be drastic, immediate, and overwhelming. They convince themselves that if they don't make a massive shift overnight, then they are failing. This mindset is flawed because it sets people up for disappointment and burnout. The truth is, transformation is not an event. It is a process. It is the accumulation of small, disciplined actions repeated consistently over time. It is not about making a single grand gesture, but about making thousands of small decisions that push you forward, one step at a time. Consider how a tree grows. It does not suddenly sprout into a towering oak overnight. It grows slowly, day by day, absorbing sunlight, stretching its roots, becoming stronger with each passing moment. The same principle applies to personal growth. Every action you take, no matter how small, compounds over time. Reading one page of a book each day may seem insignificant, but in a year, you will have read multiple books. Doing a few push-ups every morning may seem trivial, but over time, you will build strength. Waking up just 15 minutes earlier each day might not seem like a big deal, but over weeks and months, it creates discipline and control over your life. People fail to change because they chase instant gratification. They want immediate results. And when they don't see dramatic progress right away, they give up. But progress is often invisible in the beginning. The work you do today may not seem to matter, but over time, it builds momentum. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline, the ability to take action regardless of how you feel, is what separates those who succeed from those who remain stagnant. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must trust in the power of small, consistent actions. You must set daily habits that align with the person you want to become. You must embrace the fact that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Stop focusing on massive, unrealistic changes. Instead, ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today to be better than I was yesterday? Then do it, and do it again tomorrow, and the next day. Over time, these small efforts will transform your entire life. Confronting the chaos within is another essential step in transformation. Every person carries internal chaos, fears, doubts, insecurities, procrastination, addictions, destructive habits. It is easier to ignore these things, to push them aside, to distract yourself with entertainment, social media, or any other numbing activity. But avoiding your chaos does not make it disappear. It festers beneath the surface, growing stronger, controlling you in ways you don't even realize. The only way to break free is to confront it head on. You must take an honest look at yourself and identify your weaknesses. Where are you lacking discipline? What bad habits are holding you back? What emotions are controlling you? This process is uncomfortable because it forces you to see the parts of yourself that you would rather avoid. But growth only happens in discomfort. The sooner you face your inner chaos, the sooner you can impose order. The solution is not to eliminate chaos entirely. That is impossible. The goal is to take control of it, to shape it into something productive. If your mind is filled with doubt, replace it with confidence through action. If you struggle with procrastination, create a structured schedule and force yourself to follow it. If you have destructive habits, replace them with better ones. You must take full responsibility for the battle within and impose discipline over the parts of yourself that seek to pull you down. Embracing the unknown is the final piece of the puzzle. The process of rebuilding yourself requires stepping into uncertainty. It means letting go of the familiar and stepping into a world where you don't have all the answers. Most people resist this because they fear failure. They fear making mistakes. They fear looking foolish. But staying in the comfort of what is known means staying the same. Growth only happens when you push beyond your current limits. Uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Every time you step into the unknown, you learn something new. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. You develop skills you never thought you could master. You become adaptable, resilient, and capable of handling whatever life throws at you. This is the mindset that separates those who remain trapped in their old selves from those who break free and build something better. You must be willing to take risks. You must be willing to fail. You must be willing to step into situations where you are not fully prepared because that is how you grow. The unknown is not something to fear. It is the very thing that will transform you. The greatest version of yourself does not exist in the safe, predictable comfort of your current reality. It exists beyond it, waiting for you to step forward and claim it. Discipline is the foundation of rebuilding yourself. Most people rely on motivation, but motivation is weak, inconsistent, and unreliable. It comes and goes based on emotions, circumstances, and fleeting inspiration. Discipline, however, is unwavering. It does not care how you feel. It does not wait for the perfect moment. It does not negotiate. Discipline is what allows you to act even when you don't want to. It is what separates those who dream of change from those who actually achieve it. If you want to destroy the old version of yourself and rebuild something stronger, you must become a person who follows through, no matter what. Discipline is built through structure. Without structure, you leave too much room for excuses. You cannot simply rely on willpower. You need a system that forces you to act. Set specific goals. Create a daily routine. Remove distractions. Hold yourself accountable. The more you make discipline a non-negotiable part of your life, the easier it becomes. And over time, it stops feeling like a burden. It becomes who you are. The old version of you hesitated. The new version takes action regardless of circumstances. Discipline is painful at first. It forces you to resist temptations, to push past discomfort, to sacrifice momentary pleasure for long-term growth. But pain is temporary. The results of discipline, strength, mastery, self-respect are permanent. Every day you have a choice: surrender to weakness or commit to discipline. The old you will always choose the easy way out. The new you must choose the hard path again and again until it is no longer a choice but an instinct. Your past does not define you. One of the biggest barriers to change is the belief that you are trapped by your history. You might look at your past mistakes, failures, or limitations and think they are proof that you will never be more than what you are today. But that is a lie. Your past is nothing more than a series of events. It is not your identity. It has no control over who you choose to become. Too many people let their past weigh them down like chains. They replay their failures, relive their regrets, and reinforce the idea that they are incapable of change. But if you continue to define yourself by who you were, you will never become who you could be. Growth requires letting go. You must make peace with the fact that your past was simply a learning experience, a training ground that has prepared you for the person you are about to build. The only thing that defines you is what you do next. You are not your past failures. You are not your past weaknesses. You are not the person who gave up before. From this moment forward, you are whoever you decide to be. If you want to be disciplined, start acting disciplined. If you want to be strong, start acting strong. If you want to be successful, start making successful choices. The past is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what you build from here. Fear of failure is an illusion that keeps people stuck. Many people never even begin the process of transformation because they are afraid of failing. They think failure is proof that they are not good enough, that they should not have tried in the first place. But failure is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are growing. Failure is nothing more than feedback, a lesson in what needs to be improved. Every successful person has failed countless times. The difference is that they did not let failure define them. They used it to refine them. You must rewire your mindset about failure. Instead of fearing it, embrace it. Expect it, seek it out. Every failure is a stepping stone toward mastery. If you never fail, it means you are not pushing yourself hard enough. It means you are staying in your comfort zone, avoiding risk and settling for mediocrity. But if you are failing, it means you are trying. It means you are trying. It means you are testing your limits. It means you are growing. Failure is temporary. Quitting is permanent. If you fall, get back up. If something doesn't work, adjust your strategy. If you make a mistake, learn from it. The only true failure is refusing to try. The old version of you avoided failure because it was afraid of looking weak. The new version of you understands that failure is a necessary step towards strength. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the stronger you become. You must also take control of your environment. Your habits, mindset, and growth are directly influenced by the people and surroundings you expose yourself to. If you surround yourself with weak, undisciplined, and negative people, you will absorb their mindset. If your environment is filled with distractions, comfort, and ease, you will struggle to push yourself. Your external world reflects and reinforces your internal world. If you want to change, you must make sure your environment supports that change. Cut out negativity. Distance yourself from people who drag you down. Find those who challenge and inspire you. Create a space that encourages discipline and focus. If you are serious about rebuilding yourself, you cannot afford to let your environment work against you. Take control of every factor that influences your growth, and you will make transformation inevitable. Pain is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally in transformation. Most people spend their lives running from pain, avoiding discomfort, and seeking ease. But pain is not something to fear. It is something to use. It is the pressure that forces growth, the fire that forges strength. If you want to destroy the weak, complacent version of yourself, you must stop running from pain and start embracing it. Pain is the signal that you are pushing beyond your limits. It is proof that you are growing. The moment you stop fearing pain and start seeing it as a teacher, you will become unstoppable. Every great transformation in history has been driven by suffering. No one becomes great by staying comfortable. Athletes push their bodies through excruciating workouts. Artists and creators struggle for years perfecting their craft. Leaders endure failures, criticism, and doubt. Strength is built in suffering. The more pain you are willing to endure, the greater your capacity for success. If you avoid pain, you are also avoiding growth. If you refuse to struggle, you are choosing to remain weak. The key is to change your relationship with pain. Instead of seeing it as a punishment, see it as fuel. When you feel discomfort, recognize that it is an opportunity to become stronger. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself that this moment is exactly where growth happens. The weak run from pain, the strong lean into it, and every time you choose discomfort over ease, you are killing the old version of yourself and forging something greater. Self-discipline is the highest form of self-respect. The way you treat yourself, the standards you hold yourself to, and the actions you take daily all reflect your level of self-respect. If you allow yourself to indulge in weakness, procrastination, and laziness, you are showing yourself that you do not value your potential. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you demand excellence from yourself, you are proving that you respect who you are capable of becoming. Discipline is not just about doing what you are supposed to do. It is about honoring the commitments you make to yourself. If you tell yourself that you are going to wake up early, but you hit snooze, you are sending a message to your mind that your word means nothing. If you say you are going to train, but you skip workouts, you are proving to yourself that you cannot be trusted. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your self-respect. The only way to change this is to become a person of integrity, someone who follows through no matter what. Set a standard and refuse to break it. Keep your promises even when no one is watching. Build discipline not because someone else is forcing you to, but because you demand it from yourself. The more disciplined you become, the more you will respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, you will refuse to live a mediocre life. Your mind is the battlefield, and you must train it like a warrior. Every single day you are fighting against self-doubt, laziness, fear, and excuses. The reason most people never change is because they allow their minds to be weak. They listen to their fears. They obey their impulses. They let distractions control them. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must conquer your own mind. Training the mind is like training the body. It requires constant effort. You must control your thoughts. You must reject negativity. You must replace weak, self-defeating beliefs with thoughts of power, confidence, and resilience. When your mind tells you to quit, you must override it with action. When fear tries to paralyze you, you must push forward despite it. When doubt creeps in, you must remind yourself that you are in control. The weak follow their emotions. The strong follow their discipline. You will not always feel like working hard. You will not always feel like showing up, but feelings are irrelevant. Your mind must be stronger than your emotions. Stronger than your emotions. And develop it, train it, discipline it, command it. The old version of you listened to weakness. The new version commands strength. Sacrifice is the price of transformation. You cannot build a new version of yourself while clinging to the habits, comforts, and distractions of the past. Change requires sacrifice. If you want to be disciplined, you must sacrifice laziness. If you want to be strong, you must sacrifice weakness. If you want to be successful, you must sacrifice excuses. You cannot have both. This is where most people fail. They want change, but they do not want to give anything up. They want to be fit without sacrificing junk food. They want to be focused without sacrificing entertainment. They want success without sacrificing comfort. But transformation has a cost. You must decide what you are willing to give up to become the person you were meant to be. The question is simple. What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort for discipline? Are you willing to sacrifice distraction for focus? Are you willing to sacrifice fear for action? If the answer is no, you will remain the same. If the answer is yes, then nothing can stop you. The old version of you held on to weakness. The new version of you embraces sacrifice of greatness. You must develop an obsession with progress. If you are not obsessed with growth, you will never reach your full potential. Too many people are passive about their development. They make small efforts, but they are not fully committed. They want to improve, but they do not hunger for it. If you are serious about transformation, it cannot be something you do occasionally. It must consume you. It must consume you. Obsession is what separates the elite from the average. The best athletes, the greatest thinkers, the most successful leaders, they do not just work hard, they live and breathe their craft. They wake up thinking about it. They train relentlessly. They push themselves harder than anyone else because they refuse to be mediocre. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must cultivate this level of obsession. Set goals so big that they scare you. Work on them with relentless intensity. Never settle. Never get comfortable. Never accept good enough. Make progress your addiction. Make growth your identity. The old version of you was passive. The The new version of you is unstoppable. You are your habits. Every single day, the actions you repeat define who you are and who you will become. Many people believe that change happens through sheer willpower, but in reality, it is your daily habits that shape your destiny. If you engage in weak habits, procrastination, distraction, laziness, you will become a weak person. If you build strong habits, discipline, focus, consistency, you will become a strong person. The problem is that most people do not recognize the power of their habit. They think the little things they do each day don't matter, but those little things accumulate over time and determine the course of their entire lives. You must take full control of your habits. Audit your daily routines. What actions are moving you forward and what actions are holding you back. Be brutally honest with yourself. If you waste hours scrolling on your phone, skipping workouts, or making excuses, understand that these small decisions are actively destroying your potential. The key to transformation is replacing destructive habits with productive ones. You do not need to change everything overnight, but you do need to start. Build one strong habit at a time. Wake up earlier. Read daily. Exercise consistently. Keep promises to yourself. Over time, these habits will define you. The most successful people in the world do not rely on motivation to succeed. They have built habits so strong that they operate on autopilot. They do what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. This is where you need to get to. The old version of you allowed bad habits to control your life. The new version of you builds habits that guarantee success. The people you surround yourself with will either elevate you or destroy you. You cannot expect to change your life while keeping the same toxic influences around you. If you spend time with people who are lazy, unmotivated, negative, or weak, you will absorb their mindset. You will start making the same excuses they make. You will start believing that settling for mediocrity is normal. This is why your environment matters more than you think. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you to grow? Are they disciplined, ambitious, and relentless? If not, you need to make changes. You do not have to cut people out of your life completely, but you must limit your exposure to negative influences. Instead, surround yourself with people who inspire you. Find those who challenge you to be better. Seek out mentors, books, and communities that reinforce strength, discipline, and success. The more you expose yourself to excellence, the more you will absorb it. Changing your circle is not easy. It may mean distancing yourself from friends or even family members who refuse to grow. But if you are serious about transformation, you cannot afford to be held back. The old version of you accepted toxic influences. The new version of you chooses an environment that fuels your success. Your emotions are not excuses. Too many people let their emotions dictate their actions. They wait until they feel like doing something before they take action. But this mindset guarantees failure. If you only work when you feel motivated, you will never be consistent. True discipline means doing what needs to be done regardless of your emotions. There will be days when you feel tired. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. There will be times when everything inside you wants to quit. But none of that matters. Your feelings are temporary. Your actions define you. If you allow emotions to control you, you will remain weak. If you override emotions with discipline, you will become unstoppable. The strongest people in the world are not those who feel the best every day. They are the ones who take action even when they feel their worst. They show up when they are tired. They push through when they are unmotivated. They execute no matter what. The old version of you listened to emotions. The new version of you follows discipline. Excuses are the language of the weak. If you want to transform yourself, you must eliminate every excuse from your life. Excuses are lies we tell ourselves to justify failure. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. These are all self-imposed limitations. The truth is, you have time. You are just not prioritizing correctly. You are not too tired. You just lack discipline. Tomorrow will never come. There is only now. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you take full control of your life. Every excuse you have ever made has been a choice to remain weak. If you refuse to accept excuses from yourself, you will force yourself to rise. From now on, whenever you catch yourself making an excuse, stop immediately and take action. The old version of you justified failure. The new version of you demands success. You must learn to endure solitude. Growth is often a lonely process. When you decide to transform, you will find that not everyone will support you. Some people will resent your progress because it reminds them of their own weaknesses. Others will try to pull you back into old habits because they are afraid of losing you. But you must be willing to walk alone. There will be times when you feel isolated. There will be moments when you question whether the struggle is worth it. But this is where true strength is built. If you can stay disciplined when no one is watching, if you can continue pushing forward without validation, you will develop an inner power that no one can break. The old version of you needed approval. The new version of you thrives in solitude and self-mastery. Most people do not realize that their thoughts shape their reality. Every belief, every assumption, every internal dialogue you have about yourself is actively constructing the world you live in. If you believe you are weak, you will act weak. If you believe you are destined for failure, you will sabotage yourself at every turn. But the opposite is also true. If you believe you are capable, disciplined, and unstoppable, you will act accordingly. The key to transforming your life begins with transforming your mind. The problem is that most people let their minds run on autopilot. They are filled with self-doubt, negativity, and limiting beliefs that they never challenge. They assume their thoughts are facts when in reality, most of these thoughts are simply bad mental habits that have been reinforced over time. If you want to destroy the old version of yourself, you must take control of your thoughts. You must actively rewire your brain. This means rejecting weakness and negativity the moment they arise. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," replace it with "I will figure this out." When fear tells you to stop, remind yourself that growth only happens in discomfort. You must train your mind to work for you instead of against you. This is not easy. It requires relentless self-awareness. It means constantly monitoring your inner dialogue and correcting it like a ruthless coach. But if you do this every day, over time, your entire mindset will shift. You will stop seeing obstacles as threats and start seeing them as challenges. You will stop hesitating and start acting. The old version of you let negativity control your mind. The new version of you is in full command of your thoughts and therefore your future. There is a war going on every single day, and that war is between who you are and who you could be. Every decision you make is a vote for one or the other. When you hit snooze instead of waking up, you are voting for weakness. When you skip a workout, you are voting for stagnation. When you waste hours on distractions, you are voting for mediocrity. But when you push yourself to show up, when you discipline yourself to do the hard things, you are casting a vote for the best version of yourself. This war does not end. It is fought every day, in every moment, in the smallest of choices. Most people lose this war because they do not even realize they are in a battle. They think their actions are insignificant, but in reality, every action is shaping their destiny. The way you live today is training for the person you will become tomorrow. If you live today with discipline, focus, and drive, then tomorrow you will be stronger. If you let yourself slide into laziness and excuses, then tomorrow you will be weaker. You must approach every day as if it is a test. Will you let the old version of yourself win, or will you fight for something greater? There is no neutral ground. Either you are becoming stronger or you are becoming weaker. Either you are advancing or you are retreating. The old version of you let life happen to them. The new version of you takes full control. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. People like to separate their lives into different categories. They believe they can be disciplined in one area but slack in another. But this is not how it works. If you cut corners in one area, you will start cutting corners everywhere. If you allow yourself to be lazy in small things, that laziness will bleed into bigger things. If you settle for mediocrity in your health, you will settle for mediocrity in your career, your relationships, and your purpose. Excellence is not an act, it is a habit. The people who succeed at the highest levels do not have some magical ability. They simply refuse to compromise their standard. They demand the best from themselves in everything they do, whether it is training, working, learning, or even the smallest daily tasks. If you want to transform, you must adopt this mindset. Everything you do must be done with precision, discipline, and full commitment. This means eliminating laziness in every form. It means making your bed with care. It means showing up to every workout and pushing yourself, not just going through the motions. It means reading with focus, not just scrolling through information. mindlessly. Every action is a reflection of your standards. The old version of you was inconsistent and sloppy. The new version of you executes with purpose in everything. You do not need motivation, you need purpose. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you will feel energized, but other days you will feel exhausted and uninspired. If you rely on motivation, you will always be inconsistent. That is why you need purpose. Purpose is stronger than motivation. It is the deep, unshakable reason behind everything you do. When you have a strong purpose, you do not need to feel like working. You simply work. You do not need to feel inspired to take action. You take action because your mission demands it. You must ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why do you want to change? What is at stake if you stay the same? If your reason is weak, you will quit at the first sign of struggle. But if your reason is powerful, nothing can stop you. Find your purpose and engrave it into your mind. Write it down. Read it every morning. Let it fuel you when you are tired. Let it push you when you feel weak. The old version of you waited for motivation. The new version of you is driven by an unstoppable purpose. Fear is an illusion, and it is keeping you from becoming who you are meant to be. Every time you hesitate, every time you doubt yourself, every time you hold back from taking action, it is because of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But here is the truth. Fear is nothing more than a barrier between you and your potential. It is not real. It exists only in your mind. Most people let fear control their lives. They avoid risk. They stay in their comfort zones. They never push themselves because they are afraid of what might happen if they fail. But this is the greatest mistake you can make. Because in trying to avoid failure, you also avoid growth. If you never take risks, you never improve. If you never step outside of what is comfortable, you never evolve. The only way to destroy fear is to face it. The more you confront fear, the weaker it becomes. The more you push through discomfort, the more powerful you become. Every time you take action despite fear, you are training yourself to be courageous. You must make a decision. Will you let fear define you, or will you destroy it? The old version of you lived in fear. The new version of you acts despite it.